Now that brings us to the most interesting topic of this last unit, the bridge between what is called as a lattice, what is called as a poset, what is the GLB, stuff, what is called as a Boolean algebra, and what we do when we design circuits. That's the last part of this 5th unit. We'll understand the concept behind circuit design using a problem. Sometimes light fixtures are controlled by more than one switch. You might have found this as a pretty common observation. Whenever there are steps involved, you'll have lights at the bottom of the staircase and the top of the staircase, so that the light that illuminates the steps can be turned on or off either at the bottom or the top of the staircase. Now, the designing of these circuits should be such that flipping any one turns the light on and flipping it again will turn it off. But how do you understand this as a circuit design problem? Now for that, we'll introduce the concept of a Boolean polynomial. A Boolean polynomial has a set of variables which you call as x1, x2, xn, etc. They are represented by this symbol p of x1, talks about the polynomial of x1, x2, xn, and it is defined recursively in the following manner. The x1, x2, xn, etc. are also individually polynomials. 0 and 1, the greatest and the least elements, are also polynomials. Then the meet and the join can be identified this way. The complement is also identified this way. There are no polynomials in the variables xk other than those obtained by repeated use of these 4 rules. And you also sometimes call these polynomials as Boolean expressions. Now on your screen is a simple example for a Boolean polynomial. The variables x, y and z are combined in this manner. All of them are present, all of them are combined using a connective which is either the meet or the join, and every variable is either in its usual state or its complement state. It's pretty much similar to what we learned in the unit of logic, except there you used letters p and q to represent statements. Here we use x, y and z to represent variables. And whenever you have an input sequence of the form 0, 0, it is actually representing x bar conjunction y bar. You have 0 and 1, it is x bar and y again. You have 1 and 1, it's x and y bar again. When you have 1 and 1 again, it's x and y. So 1 denotes a variable in its actual state, 0 denotes the variable in its negated state. And all of them here are conjunctions. However, we can also construct a Boolean polynomial from its corresponding truth table. This is pretty much similar to what you learned when you did the PDNF of a given compound statement. What did you do? You focused on those rows which you gave 1 as the answer and constructed the PDNF out of that. We'll do the same thing. The truth table of some polynomial here has these as its observations. Now where do you find 1? I find 1 here, I find 1 here. So converting them into the polynomial expression demands identifying the variables in their states. So I have x bar or x dash with y and z as they are. Here we see that 1 is observed in the first row, the second row, the 5th row and the 7th. So let's write down, you'll have all complements to start with. X and y are complements but not z. X is complement but not y and z. X is as it is. X and y are as they are but not z. So once you write these down, you can easily write down the polynomial out of this. You can easily write down the polynomial. You'll have these as the answers, and you will have to add all of them using the disjunction property. That's what we have. And this is how you represent these polynomials when you draw the circuits. The disjunction or the OR gate is represented in this manner. the conjunction or the AND gate is represented in this manner, the negation or X bar is represented in this manner. So when I bend it and write it, it's an OR or a disjunction, or if it's just something like this, it is an AND or a conjunction. When I have a triangle followed by a dot, it's your negation. So with that, we can actually now proceed and solve the problem we started a little while back. We have to design a circuit so that a switch, an appliance is controlled by two switches in two different directions. So to write it down as a Boolean polynomial, this is what we have. Let x be the 1, let x denote 1 when the first switch is closed, and x be 0 when it is open. And let y be the 1 when the second switch is closed, and y be 0 when it's open. Now clearly, when you need both switches turned on, the light should glow. So f of x and y is 1. And it should be 0 when both are off. So f of x and y is 0. So using these two, you can write down the truth table for the given problem. It's 1 and 1 if it's 1, or 0 together. If both are zeros, it's a 1, and if both are 1s, it's a 1. In all other cases, it's a 0. That will help us design its circuit here, because we understand that I get a 1 output only when both are complemented or both are as they are. That is reflected by both being complemented and both being as they are. And because I'm adding these two, I'm using a OR gate, and for each multiplication I'll use an AND gate. It's an AND of x bar and y bar because I want x bar, y bar. It's an AND of x and y because I want x and y as they are. And to bring about x bar, I'll use this negation. But what if we have 3 switches? Situation gets more interesting. Like x, y, and z, just like the manner we saw x and y in the previous example. The light is on, it's 1, and the light is off, it's 0. So we'll start with the basic arbitrary choice that f of 1, 1 and 1 is 1, and all of the values can be understood from here. 1 and 1, 0 should be 0, 1, 0, 1 should be 0, 0, 1, 1 should be 0. Similarly, 1 or 1 double 0 is 1, 0, 1, 0 is 1, f double 0, 1 is 1. That brings us to this truth table. All of them are 1s, all of them are not 1s in 3 different positions. That will help us design this as the circuit. Since all of them are 1s, you have x, y, z, and since you have 1 double 0, you will have this, and you have 0, 1, 0, you will have this, you have 0, 0, 1, you will have this. That's what is observed in the truth table. There is a 1, 1, 1, there is a 1, 0, 0, there is a 0, 1, 0, there is a 0, 0, 1. This corresponds to all of them in their actual senses. This when y and z are flipped, this when x and z are flipped, and this when only x and y are flipped. So these 4 terms put together will give us the required circuit to control a light switch, a light application, a bulb or something, using 3 different switches. But not all of Boolean polynomials are actually in their most efficient representations. Some of them leave us enough room to minimize these polynomials. On your screen is a very simple example of that. Now when I have the disjunction between these 2 terms, my circuit will look something like this. It means I'm using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10 different wires to represent the conjunction, disjunction and negation involved. But that's not always the case. I can always simplify this expression as x bar and y bar or y, and since y bar and y will always give me t, x bar and t will give me x bar again. That's by the rules of these operations that we arrive at this conclusion. But x bar can directly be replaced by only one arrow. X goes inside the negator, x gets flipped, x is let out. So what was a complex polynomial? what involved two disjunctions, two conjunctions and one disjunction, can be replaced by a very simple circuit like this. And that's where efficiency comes in. Efficiency comes in not only if you are able to design circuits, but your design should also be efficient. That's what is expected. And for that reason, we have this method called K-maps, the one due to the scientist Carnot, who gave a very simple procedure to reduce or minimize any Boolean expression. There are 5 steps to this. We'll understand what these are. First up, we'll have to select the corresponding K-map based on the number of variables. Number 2, if it's given as a sum of min terms, then place ones at their respective positions. And number 3, check the possibilities of grouping maximum number of adjacent ones. By adjacent one, suppose my K-map looks like this. I can group only these two, or these two, or these two. I can group these, or these. So adjacent ones are to be grouped. And each grouping will have a term called as a prime implicant and the other called as an essential prime implicants. And then from there on, you will try and minimize the number of such loops that are involved to obtain the reduced Boolean expression. We'll have one simple example before us. We have x, y, z bar, x bar, y bar, z bar, x bar, y, z, and x bar, y bar, z bar. But before we draw the circuit and reduce it, let's understand what we have here. The corresponding K-map diagram will look like this. It will be a 3x5 table, or in fact a 2x4 table, with the rows representing the states x bar and x, the columns representing the states y bar, z bar, y bar, z, y, z, y, z bar. Now you will have a 1 here because this one corresponds to x bar and y bar, z bar, that's the last term. Is that right? This one corresponds to the x bar being paired up with y and z, that's what you have here. And this corresponds to x combined with y bar and z bar, that's what we have here. The last term, the one here, corresponds to x, y, z bar, that's what you have in the very first term of this Boolean polynomial. So we have placed the ones corresponding to the min terms. Now our task is to group them. And how do we group them? We group them in terms of adjacent ones. Now remember, the number of ones that you take up for grouping should always be a power of 2. So you can't group 3 ones or 5 ones or 6 or 7 ones. You have to group them only in terms of powers of 2. So you can group 2 ones, 4 ones, or 8 ones, or 16 ones. And whatever is the maximum has to be preferred. Okay. Now when you look at this example, this is what you have. I can group these 2 ones because they are adjacent. I can group these 2 ones because they are also adjacent. Because when you look at it in a 3D thing, the first column and the last column are also adjacent. And this one is isolated. You can't group it with anything else, so you leave it as it is. Now once you have grouped, you can go to the last step to complete the problem. I have x bar, y bar, z as well as x, y bar, z bar. Now when I group these, this x gets simplified and I get only y bar, z bar as the required answer. Similarly, when I group this one and this one, I have xy bar, z bar and xy, z bar. Xy is common, z bar is common, retain them. Whatever is not common, flip it. Y and y bar neutralize each other and you have only x, z bar. And this last one cannot be grouped with anything else, so you leave it as it is, x bar, y, z. So that's how you reduce a Boolean polynomial using the K-map method. Step 1, you draw the K-map based on the dimensions. Step 2, you fill it up with ones wherever you have the term given in the Boolean polynomial. Number 3, start grouping. When you group, you will consider adjacent ones for grouping and you will consider them in terms of powers of 2. So you will never group 5 ones together or 6 ones together. It's It's either 0, 1, 2, 4 or 8 or 16 or 30. It always has to be a power of 2. And number 3, you can also consider this as a pairing. The first and the last columns are adjacent. The first and the last rows are adjacent. You can take that. We have one more Boolean polynomial which has 5 terms in it. And what are they? X, y bar, z. X, y bar, z corresponds to this. X, y bar, z bar. X, y bar, z bar corresponds to this. X bar, y, z. X bar, y, z corresponds to this. X bar, y bar, z corresponds to this. And all of them are complements corresponds to this. So that is the loop that we have. I have 5 ones available for grouping and I can group them right now. But how do I group those 5 ones? What are the choices I have? The choices I have are kind of interesting. Choices I have are interesting because this is not part of the answer. It's being carried over from the previous problem. This is not part. The choices we have are 5 ones. I can group these 2 together. They are adjacent. These 2, these 2, these 2, these 2. So I can group this one, this one, this one, and this one as a pair of elements, which means I can group all of these 4 under a single roof. Since we are grouping 4 elements, we are pretty much safe because we are grouping the number of ones where the number is a power of 2. So these 4 ones can be grouped. That is why I have used different colors. Green for a group of 4, blue for a group of 2, and 1 if you cannot group it with anything else. The previous example we had an isolated 1 and 2 loops of 2. Here we have 1 loop of 2 and 1 loop of 4. So these 4 terms, these 4 ones, they correspond to x bar, y bar, z bar, and x bar, y bar, z. So when I group these 2, the z bar and z get neutralized, I get only x bar and y bar. But x bar and y bar again, I find them in x bar and y bar with x and y bar also. Because x bar, y bar, z bar is also present, x, y, z bar is also present. So these 2 are common, these 2 are different, so they are neutralized, I get only y bar back. So the green loop corresponds to the single thing y bar. When I talk about the blue loop is x bar, y bar, z and x bar, y, z. Chop off whatever is not repeated. Y bar is not repeated because y bar becomes y. So chop it off. Whatever is remaining is your answer. X bar and z is your answer. Nothing left, only 2 loops, only 2 terms. And this is the simplified form of the given polynomial. Next up we have x, y, z bar. So x, y, z bar is this. X, y bar, z bar is this. X bar, y bar, z is this. X bar, y bar, z bar is this. So looping can happen in 2 different ways. I will show you both. I can either do this loop where these 2 adjacent ones are grouped, these 2 adjacent ones are grouped, and these 2 adjacent ones are grouped. But that will account for 3 different loops. If there is another way to minimize this number, we are supposed to do it. Can we do it in 2 loops? Can we do it in 1 loop? Can we do it in anything lesser? I can't do 0 or 1, but I can do 2. I can group these 2 adjacent ones here and these 2 adjacent ones because they are in the extremes of the row. I told you before, the extremes are also considered as adjacent. So the left extreme and the right extreme are adjacent, the top extreme and the bottom extreme are adjacent. Which is why I can group the ones in the last row of the table. They are the extremes of the row. Now this reduces the number of loops only to 2. It's not 3 anymore. I can reduce the number of loops to only 2 loops, and that's fine. That's fine because we are trying to minimize the expression here. So the fewer loops that you generate, the better your design of the Boolean polynomial is. So how do you group them? I have grouped these two together, so it is x y bar z bar and x y z bar. Whatever is not common is to be chopped off, y is chopped off. X and z bar I retain it here. When I consider these two, I have x bar, y bar, z bar and x bar, y bar, z. Whatever is not common can be chopped off. This is not common, I can chop it off. So I have x bar, y bar and x, z bar as the simplified form of the Boolean expression. Once again, this is to be preferred over that procedure which groups 3 different loops. I can't have 3 different loops. That's not all right. Because if I am able to do it in fewer loops, that is what I should prefer. Or worse, I can't have a grouping like this. Look at the grouping. I have 2 loops and one isolated one. In fact, this one, as we saw before, can be looped with the one here. So this is wrong and this is preferred over this. This is better. This is good. This is bad. This is good. This is better. That's why we pick this. This is good. I have not left any ones and I've grouped them in powers of 2. But this one is even better because I've reduced the number of loops to 2 from 3. Okay. The other set of questions which can be asked in the K-maps is, I don't give you the terms themselves, but I give their relative positions on the K-map table. I give their relative positions in terms of zeros and ones. And for this we'll follow a unique pattern where I list x bar and x along the 2 rows and y bar, z bar, y bar, z, yz and yz bar along the columns, which means this is 0 0 0 and 0 1 0 0 1 0 1 1 0 1 0, because I'll assume x bar to denote 0 and x to denote 1. This is 1 0 0 1 0 1 1 1 0 1 1 1 1 1. And 1 1 0. So that's how you can also understand the K-map table using numbers. So 000 is 0 in the binary form, 001 is 1, 011 is 3, 010 is 2. Because 111 is 1, 011 is 0 times 2 squared, so 0 1 times 2 power 1 and 1 times 2 power 0, that corresponds to 3. And this is 4, this is 5, this is 7 and this is 6. This is 4. You know why it is 4? This is 5, this is 7 and this is 6. This is 0, this is 1, this is 3, this is 2. So that's what you have on the table, because this cell corresponds to the number 1, this corresponds to the number 3, this is 2, this is 6, this is 7, this is 5, this is 4 and this is 0. The question gives us that there are only 2 terms in the expression and they are 1 and 3. 1 and 3 are they are here. You can easily look at it, and they are adjacent. I can easily loop them. To give me exactly one term. The term as a result of x bar yz and x bar y bar z. Whatever is common can be retained. Whatever is not common can be chopped off. This y bar can be chopped off. The entire variable y can be chopped off. I'll just have x bar and z. So the simplified form expression is x bar z. What if you have 2, 3, 6 and 7? Now in the table you can recall that I have 0, 1, 3 and 2, 4, 5, 7 and 6. The question wants us to focus only on 2, 3, 6 and 7. 2 is here, 3 is here, 6 is here, 7 is here. And I can identify this like this. There are only 4 ones present. They are in the last 2 rows and the 2 columns of the table. This is what I have. And it is obvious that I'll group all of them under one roof. All of these 4 are adjacent. In fact, I'll use a different color. That color is the blue one. All 4s can be grouped together. I should have used green, but that's okay. So what do we have? I have x bar yz, x bar yz bar. So z bar is not common, so z can be eliminated. I have x bar y along with xy here, which means x can also be eliminated, only y remains. Y is the answer. Y is the simplified form of the given Boolean polynomial, because on one hand we have eliminated z, on the other hand we have eliminated x, only y remains. Okay, what if we have 1, 3, 4, 5 and 6? So I told you in the table is populated in this manner. It is 0, 1, 3, 2, 4, 5, 7, 6. So I have 1 is here, 3 is here, 4, 5 and 6 are here. So that's how I have the 5 terms of the given Boolean polynomial. And how do I group them? This has to be grouped, there's only way is here, and these two can be grouped in this manner. That's what I have. 3 loops are enough to completely cover all the 5 ones of the given Boolean expression, and when I do that, I have only 3 terms in the reduced form. The reduced form for these are x bar y bar z paired up with x bar y z. So y is not common, chop it off, that's an x bar z. When I consider these two, it's an x y bar z bar and an x y bar z bar and an x y bar z. So z is not common, chop it off, that's the term x y bar. And the two extremes can also be grouped, which means I have an x y bar z bar and an x y z bar. Whatever is not common can be chopped off. Y is not common, I'll have only x and z bar. So I have only 3 terms in the reduced Boolean expression instead of the 5 original terms. So K map can also be, the question can be presented in the form of numbers, and you may be asked to simplify that. So I've looped them in this manner, that's what I've got. But it's not always that you have only 3 variables. You may also be asked a Boolean polynomial which has 4 variables. Now 4 variable expression will demand a 4 by 4 table. So if I have a polynomial like this in terms of 4 variables w, x, y and z, I'll allocate these as w bar x bar, w bar x, wx, wx bar. These will be y bar z bar, y bar z, yz and yz bar. Now if we are to write them as individual numbers, we already saw that this should be 0, 1, 3 and 2, 4, 5, 7 and 6. Proceeding further, what you have here is actually a 1, 1 and you have a 0, 0. So how do you combine 1, double 1, double 0? This is 2 power 3 plus 2 power 2. 2 power 3 and 2 power 2 is 8 and 2, which is 8 and 4, which is 12. 8 and 4 is actually 12. 12 and 2 and 1, that's 15, yeah, that's 12. So this is 12, what you have here is 12. This is 1 less than 12, this is 2 less than, this is 10, this is 13 in fact, this is 13, because this corresponds to, this number corresponds to 1101. 1101 is 2 cube plus 2 square plus 0 plus 1, that's 12 plus 1, that's 13. And this cell corresponds to 1, 1, 1, 1 again. All of them are ones. All of them are ones. You'll have 2 cube plus 2 square plus 2 plus 1. That's 8 plus 4 plus 2 plus 1, which is 15. The last one is 1, 1, 1 and 0. That's going to be 2 cube plus 2 square plus 2, which is 8 and 4 and 2, which is 14. So this row is 12, 13, 15, 14. And this is w x bar, so only 1 remains. That's the highest power. That's 8, 9, 11 and 10. That's how you write these 16 numbers 0 through 15. And now we are ready to start solving the problem. So we have wxyz, wxyz is over here, wxy bar z is over here, wxy bar z bar is over here, wx bar y z bar, wx bar y z bar is here, and wx bar y bar z is here. So 5 terms in the polynomial, 5 ones on the table, and we can get started with the grouping. And when you group, you'll obviously find out that this one cannot be looped up with anything else, because no one extremes along the column and no extremes along the rows, and nothing is adjacent. Nothing here, or nothing here. So this one has to be isolated, and the remaining 3 ones can be grouped. These 3, these 2, and these 2. That's what we have here. We have 1 2 loop covering these 2 ones, 1 2 loop covering these 2 ones, and 1 2 loop covering these 2 ones. Remember, I am not giving you a 3 loop. It's a 2 loop here, and a 2 loop here, and a 2 loop here, and a 1 separately available here. So when you reduce this term here, you will have a pair between wx y bar z bar and a wx y bar z. Whatever is common has to be retained, so this can be chopped off. So I have a wx y bar, that's here. Next up, when you pair up these two, I'll have wx y bar z and wx y z. Y is not common, chop it off. Wx and z is here. When you talk about this one, the vertical set of 2 ones, I'll have wx bar y bar z paired up with wx bar y bar z again. X is not in its complement state, so whatever is not common can be chopped off. The not common part is x, so w y bar z is retained, and this term is obviously written as it is because it's isolated. You can't group it with any other term. One more exercise for you. Wx y z bar, wx y z bar is here, wx y bar z is here, wx bar y z is here, w bar x y bar z is here, w bar x bar y z bar is here, w bar x bar y bar z is here. We have located the ones correctly. All we are left to do is the grouping. Once again, you will see that this number is isolated. You can't group. There is no ones in the column extreme, no ones to the left or right. This is left ungrouped. So is this one. Nothing here, 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 or here. That's again gone. Same happens with this. No adjacent ones. These two can be looped in 2 different ways. So when you proceed, that's what you have. 3 isolated ones corresponding to these 3 terms, and 2 terms which are grouped. I can group these 2. W bar x bar, and group these 2. W bar x bar y bar z with w bar x bar w bar x y bar z. So x is not common, you can drop it. That's what you have here, w bar y bar z, and this is what is left out, x y bar z. So only 2 reduced terms, 3 terms are isolated. That's what we have here. And this is an even more longer question where you have actually 7 terms. Let's do this very carefully. wx y bar z bar is over here, first term. That's the first term. wx bar yz, that's the second term. wx bar yz bar, that's the third term. wx bar y bar z bar is the fourth term. w bar x y bar z bar, w bar x y bar z bar, that's the fifth term. w bar x bar y z bar, w bar x bar y z bar as the sixth term, and w bar x bar y bar z bar That's everything in the bar, that's the 7th term. If 7 terms, when you've located all of them easily, now we can start with the grouping. The grouping, you will see that this has to be grouped in this manner because that's the only adjacent one. You don't have a one here, here or here. This is the only one. The other loops are kind of interesting. You can also try and say that you will group these two ones together since they are in the extremes, the same column, but I can say the same thing about these two ones, that the extremes are the same rows, or these two ones extremes are the same row, and these two ones as the extremes of the same column. So there is an easier way to do this. I'll group these two, I can't get away with that, but I can group all of these ones together. All of them, they are the extremes of the rows as well as the columns. All of them. So it's like a rotational thing where both the row extremes and the column extremes can be considered easily. The row extremes and the column extremes can be considered. So all these 4 are a single group and all these 4s are a single group also. That will end up with this kind of a transition. I've shown them independently. The first loop is the for loop here. Since all of them are along the same column, they can be considered as a group of 4 terms. Next one is the ones at the extremes. There are 4 ones at the 4 extremes. 4 is once again a power of 2, I can group them. The next one is only the loop of these 2 terms. 2 is a power of 2, again I can group them. So the efficient design of the reduction of this is these 4 loops, these 4 ones together, which is an interesting combination where I'll have only y bar and z bar, because when I list the terms down, I'll have w bar, x bar, y bar, z bar, w bar, x, y bar, z bar. So x can be deleted, and I also have w, y bar, z bar, which means w bar also can be deleted. Only what I can't remove is y bar z, so y bar z is one term. And when I write the corners, I'll have w bar, x bar with y bar, z bar with y, z bar, which means y can be eliminated. And I also have w bar, x bar with w, x bar, z bar, which means w bar also can be eliminated. So I'll be left only with x bar and z bar. So x bar, z bar is the second term. And the last one, when I group only these two, I will have w, x bar, y, z and w, x bar, y, z bar. So z bar is what is not common, so these 3 terms will be together. So the reduced form of this polynomial will have only 3 terms, and they are a nice pattern. You will have a y bar, z bar in the answer, and you will have an x bar, z bar in the answer. The last term, which is a 2 loop, will be a w, x bar, y. So in this way, you can reduce a given Boolean polynomial using a K-map method. The K-map can also work on 3 variable expressions or 4 variable expressions. It can also work when the expression is given in terms of their numerical equivalence. That's what we saw some time back. Even if they are given in the numerical equivalence, you can still work down the positions based on the binary expansion or the 2 power expansion of 2's of the numbers involved, and you can group them and simplify. Now with that, we have wrapped up this last unit on lattices and Boolean algebra. We have understood what a poset is, when it gets called as a lattice, when the lattice gets called as a Boolean algebra, and when and how you combine the idea of Boolean algebra and the logic that we saw to design circuits efficiently. Now this brings us to this end of this course on inferential discrete mathematics. We have discussed each of these 5 units independently. We've had a look at a lot of practice problems to get yourself prepared for the tests. I wish you solve all the assignments on time and submit them in advance, and you also do the tests correctly. All the best. Thanks.